Tonight, a crash involving two packed tour buses shuts down I-65 and sends dozens of people to the hospital.
The Federal Highway Administration approves.
Uncle Sam says okay to the I-69 extension to Evansville, but when will the new highway become reality? And the woman accused of pretending to be a missing Central Indiana girl may be ready to plead guilty in the case.
You're watching RTV6 Indianapolis. Now, the news at 6.
And thanks for joining us. I'm Martha Weaver.
I'm Eric Weisfeld. Ray has the night off, and we begin with that crash that shut down I-65. Now, this was the scene from Skycam 6. Involved two charter tour buses filled with high school students. The wreck sent more than 24 of them to the hospital, shut down the interstate for the afternoon as well. Happened in the middle of the Spaghetti Bowl near mile marker 112. Jack Reinhardt begins our coverage.
With only 5 hours to go, the long road home to Wisconsin took a detour through Indianapolis. At high noon on a crowded downtown interstate, the traffic in front of two tour buses began to stop for an accident before the buses collided with each other.
Everybody's real upset. Kids are all upset and crying, and there weren't a lot of injuries, but was there enough people that had some blood on them that kids, it's a big deal to all my students.
103 students and chaperones were on their way home to Kewaskum, Wisconsin from Orlando, Florida, where they had performed in a high school band and choir festival. Almost half of the students and adults on the trip went to area hospitals for treatment of cuts and bruises and abrasions.
Just a typical multiple casualty incident, you know, the confusion of trying to track where everybody's going, and that's probably the most difficult part.
Indiana State Police say an accident in the North Split occurred only minutes before the bus accident. Emergency personnel had not yet reached the first accident when the second accident occurred.
As a result of this different lane jockeying, there was some abrupt braking, which ultimately involved the collision of the dump truck and the two buses transporting the students.
The students boarded Indigo buses for a trip to the Indianapolis Red Cross only half a mile away. Local emergency responders had set up a command post for students to make contact with their parents. Wreckage and personal possessions littered the roadway. Truck driver Steve England could see the accident building behind him just by looking at traffic in front of him.
Two vehicles started to cut in front of everybody.
The two cars that caused the accident, they
took off. Yep.
Indiana State Police say it's way too early in the investigation to assign blame for the accident. We're told that only one of the 103 students and chaperones will remain hospitalized here in Indianapolis. And perhaps in time, members of the Kewaskum marching band will see this as just a sour note to what the choir director called a great spring trip. Live in the newsroom, Jack Reinhardt, RTV6.
Let's hope so. And Jack, that wreck still has I-65 tied up. Going to take a live look from Skycam 6 over that crash scene downtown. The buses have been moved from the area, and now crews are working to clean up an overturned semi that may have led to the bus wreck. Police say the driver was going too fast for the ramp, dumped his load of coils of rolled steel. Indiana State Police say they expect 65 northbound to completely reopen sometime between 7 and 8 tonight.
Now, the students involved are gathered at the Red Cross headquarters, just waiting for a bus to finish their trip home. Erica Fly is live with them to continue our team coverage. Erica, how are they doing?
Martha, you can see the students are just kind of hanging out behind me here by these buses. They just got done going through their luggage, putting it onto these buses, getting ready for their trip back to Wisconsin after this pit stop they never planned. Bruised, battered, and quite shaken up, these teenagers have been on a rough ride.
Nobody really knew what was going on, and it was just kind of everybody wanted to get off the bus because we didn't know what had happened or what was going to come next. So.
A group of 103 high school students and chaperones from Kewaskum, Wisconsin were traveling on these two charter buses. They were coming from a choir and band trip in Orlando, Florida. On their way back home, they hit a major road bump in Indianapolis.
I just saw there was a traffic jam, so I was like, oh, we're stopping. And then all of a sudden we just got hit.
We hit somebody, and then the bus behind us hit us, so it's just kind of a lot of shaking, a lot of pounding going on. And there was dust that was flying everywhere from the back of the bus.
Just crying right away because we didn't really know what happened, and we didn't know at that time how hurt everybody was.
There were dozens of injuries. About 30 students and chaperones were taken to Wisherton Methodist for treatment and then brought back to the Red Cross headquarters downtown by the van load, a staging area where the group could get reorganized.
Is that for the kids?
Yep, sure is. Inside, they ate lots of pizza and made a lot of calls, most to worried parents back in Wisconsin who got word of the crash.
Mom's reaction was just glad that we were all safe, and so pray for us and stuff. So
now they're ready to head back home and wrap up what had started as a fun trip to Florida.
Why we do these sort of trips anyway, to give them an opportunity to do something fun and get away and see some of the world, and we don't want it to end in a tragedy like this.
Again, the group is just kind of hanging out, waiting for a few others to be released from the hospital. They should head out sometime tonight. It'll take about 6 hours to get back to Wisconsin. The group starts their spring break next week, and some of the students told me that they're going to need a vacation after this nerve-wracking experience. Live downtown, Erica Fly, RTV6.
I bet they won't take a bus either. Thanks, Erica. Well, a separate crash overnight caused massive traffic headaches on the south side of